Welcome to Conscious Dominance, a DSRX studio production. These weekly conversations explore how to approach mindful leadership and inner dominance within the powerful container of committed, intentional relationships. Join Eric as he invites new dialogues, sharing practical insights for how the craft of consciousness opens the aperture to love, serve, and connect with unwavering presence.
Welcome to Conscious Dominance. I want to talk today about pain, something I've been reflecting on, thinking a lot about, and see as a entry point for better understanding how to lead, how to love, how to honor, and how to have a thriving, more badass relationship. I feel that everything in life is on the other side of our capacity to navigate pain. As I did some research on pain, I found the Mayo Clinic, which is a place where people go who have lost hope. It's a very prestigious medical place of healing, a highly regarded facility. They talk about suffering as pain times resistance. So we can have pain, and then when we resist it, we suffer. And so I'm going to keep coming back to this little equation because I think it's really helpful. And if you're in a high degree of suffering, you're not able to act. You're not able to move forward. So we're designed that we act when we feel safe. We're designed that we heal when we feel safe. Rest and digest is the way for us to heal, to feel better. It's how we sleep. It's how we digest our food. It's how we get better, get stronger. All of these things are on the other side of feeling safe. And safety, in many ways, is the absence of pain. A better way of saying is it's the absence of the threat of pain. We can feel safe and be in pain. But if we're resisting our pain, we're often not feeling safe. There's three kinds of pain. There's physical pain, there's psychological pain, and there's societal pain. When you get hit, when you get cut, when you break something, your body's warning system goes off. It says you're in pain. You need to stop. You need to pay attention. You need to heal this. You need to get better. It's the same thing as a car. It's like your car with the warning lights. You're out of gas or the oil's low. It's a warning that says if you don't deal with this, it's going to get worse. Pay attention. Psychological pain, on the other hand, is based upon how we perceive our pain. It's based upon our thinking. It's the frame of our pain. We can feel psychological pain when we feel overwhelmed, when we feel stressed, when we feel like we don't matter, when our negative self-talk is overwhelming us, when we repeat loops, when we feel shame, where we feel fear, when it's on overload, and when we feel like there's no point to it. There's no point to our life, when we're feeling existential malaise. This is psychological pain. Third type of pain is societal pain. Pain is framed by our context that it's in. If we are in a group of people and we're all doing something together and we're in a team and we're playing a sport and we get injured, that pain doesn't feel nearly as bad as if someone comes and hurts you or someone's malevolent or your parent does something to you. It's the same exact pain physically, but psychologically and within its frame of society, you've got all three of those on board. We also feel societal pain when we're being excluded from the group, when we're rejected by others, when we feel like we are no longer accepted by our friends or our family. These all are societal pain. We can have the same experience, but with a different context or in a different way of thinking about it or a different frame, and it feels completely different. And so that's why it's really important to ask ourselves, is this societal? Is this psychic? Or is this physical? It's the first step of navigating the geography of pain. And if we can recognize that it could be all three, it could be one, it could be two, and that our nervous system doesn't see pain as different. It sees psychological pain as no different than physical pain. And that's why when you stack pain, it can feel debilitating. Your woman breaks up with you, you hurt yourself physically, and you lost your job. So pain by itself is not the enemy. It's when we resist it that we start to suffer. And so the suffering is when it says, this is not acceptable. We're not allowed to feel this way. We judge it. We condemn it. This is when we start to suffer. So that's the frame that I want you to understand. That's a sort of a basic introduction to a basic understanding of pain and the geography of pain and kind of understanding where it might fit. There's a lot more to it. But the next thing that I want to speak about is that most men unconsciously see women as the refuge from said pain. And so we see women as the oasis. We see women as the hotel and the spa and the resort and the place that we go to escape all the suffering that's over here. We have cherished outcomes when it comes to women. We hold expectations that we don't realize that we have. We have unconscious expectations that women are going to be a solace, that they're going to soothe us and heal us. And most women are conditioned to be such to us until their pain exceeds their capacity to heal our pain. And so we're at an impasse. And that's the impasse that I feel like is a portal to reality. So another part of this is that our conditioning with women is derived from the pornification of our society, where we see that women are always available, that they're uncomplicated, they're not complex, and that they're always there to serve us and to satiate us and to help us get out of pain. Most men go to porn because they're in pain. They're suffering. They're trying to avoid feeling something. And so they go to not feel something. They get the dopamine hit. And as Huberman says, when you get the dopamine hit without having to work or struggle, it leads to an increased lack of capacity to deal with pain. And so we constantly are resisting pain. We unconsciously resist pain everywhere we go. We don't want to get into situations where we're going to feel more pain because we don't know how to navigate the pain. We don't know how to deal with pain without resisting it or without avoiding it. We've avoided work. We've learned to crave ease. We've learned to crave immediate gratification, or the only frame where we see it's okay to suffer is through our work or through our working out. And in every place where there's more complexity to it, where the input doesn't meet the output, complex systems, we don't want to deal with those. We don't mind working out because you put input in, you get output out. So most work's like that too. You put input in, you get output out. But with women, it's not like that. They're a complex system, meaning you put this lever over here, it affects this lever over here, and this thing's over here. It's a complex system. It's a dynamic system. So the way to understand her dynamic is to start becoming curious about her pain. She's in pain. Most men don't want to be curious. They don't want to hear about it. So what does she do? She hides it. She suffers more. The best stoics out there are actually women. The way that we've conditioned and trained women to come and join men's society is to hide their pain. They've learned to hide their suffering. Most women equate being a woman with suffering, with pain. So they live with it all the time. They're chronically in it. They've trained themselves every month to just push through these days where they're just purely in agony and pain. They're going through portals all the fucking time in ways that we can never understand. And society teaches women and values women on their capacity to withstand pain. Men, we don't have the same equivalence. So society actually rewards us and is increasingly set up to avoid pain. So there's a real disparity right now where most women are great at dealing with pain and most men are terrible at dealing with pain. She's in pain, we don't want to hear about it. There's an off axis. With the situation, how we can reverse this or change the situation is to realize that most of the time we need to be in a masculine state. And a good definition of masculine energy is to embrace responsibility, embrace situations where there could be pain and step into it and sit with it and be discerning with it and try to lead and understand and be curious as how to support and serve people from lessening said pain. So for her to step into her feminine, she needs you to step into your masculine. She needs you to start being curious about her pain. Most women are in this pain because they're in a constant state of fight or flight, constant state of alertness, a constant state where they're trying to push through their willpower, through their will, not the overflow of wellness. And men's dealing with pain is avoidance. And so we're both stressed out. Two people that are in relationships, often in their childlike fight or flight, their wounded energy, and then they're bouncing up against each other and trying to work through things. Navigating relationships is much more akin to navigating pain, navigating people that are in pain. How do you support people in pain? The first thing is not to resist it. Remember, we're going back to the beginning. Don't resist where they're at. And so often when men immediately try to fix the pain, the women feel that they're not lovable and not acceptable unless they're not in pain. Remember, going back, the men's unconscious thing of women is that they are an oasis, a place of refuge away from pain. So if a woman is in pain, she feels she's broken. She feels like she's not enough. And as soon as he immediately tries to move her out of her pain, it further adds to that. So what the man needs to do is just accept it as it is. Does not mean that it's forever. It just means in that moment. That's what is. That's what's happening. Can you sit with it? Can you be with the pain? Can you feel that? Can you feel her in her pain? Can you be okay with it? Just be in it. And then be curious. And that pain may not be physical. It may be physical. More often than not, it's all three. It's societal, it's psychic, and it's physical. It behooves you to be curious to see, where does it fit? What time of the month is it? Most women, time of the month does impact them. And if it doesn't, it means they've been so far removed from their nature and feminine energy that that's actually problematic. We actually want women to be in a feminine energy, which means they are different depending on the time of the month. During follicular, they're going to have a lot more energy. They're going to be able to do a lot more, show up for other people. During luteal, they're going to be less inclined to show up for other people in the same kind of way. When they're menstruating, it's different. Think of it like winter. You don't think in winter you're going to go out to your garden and plant a bunch of seeds and be bummed because it's not summer. It's winter. When it's fall, it's fall. When it's spring, it's spring. You accept it. It's what is. Learn that women have seasons. Learn what season it is. Don't place expectations of the summer on the winter, and lean into winter. Be more insular. Take a recharge, a reboot. This is the point. So when women are constantly in their fight or flight and constantly in this space, those cycles get whacked and they're no longer in their natural cycles. They're just pushing, going. They can get shit done, but the cost of that efficiency is breakdown. It's autoimmune disease. It's chronic fatigue. It's burnout. It's because they're living a masculine system and they are a feminine being that's meant for a feminine system. They're meant for a lunar cycle, not a solar cycle. Men's live in a solar cycle, meaning we have different levels of energy depending on the time of the day. Women have different levels depending on the type of the month. And when you can understand that and really accentuate that, play with that and move that up and down, then you can start seeing and feeling women in their feminine energy. And if you can allow women to be totally in their luteal, late luteal, and their winter period, you can hold them and let them be that and be in a place where they're not there to give to you all the time. They're not showing up for you. Let them be in that. Protect it, honor it. Guess what? When follicular comes around, they're going to want to be with you. They're going to be buoyant. So it's much better for you to recognize that cycles come and go, and it's seasonal, depending on the time of their life too. There's perimenopause and there's menopause, and these things aren't the end. It's the beginning of actually being more real and more truthful and more honest. And when you have more truth and more reality and more honesty, you have more turn on. Because a woman's true nature when she's in her feminine is to be turned on, is to be in her pleasure. And so when you can be curious about her pain, it gives her space to be curious about her own pleasure, which is going to accentuate that. And this becomes a field of buoyancy and of pleasure that she wants to give back to you. And so your life actually does become that outcome that you wanted from the beginning, but it's real and it's much more sustainable and it's far better than anything you could ever imagine. But it's only derived when we're able to sit with and really feel her pain and be curious about her pain and see her pain as feedback, not as an indictment, With Rachel, I used to, every time she was emotional or expressing her pain, I would collapse. I would feel like I failed. I failed as her leader. I failed, and I would feel flustered and off. And guess what? She was less inclined to bring that pain to me. And guess what? Her pain just increased. And I knew it was the way forward. I knew that I needed to feel her pain. I needed to be able to sustain that. So how did I increase my capacity to sustain her pain and hold her? I stopped drinking completely. I had already stopped smoking. I had already stopped porn. I had already stopped so many of these habits that had kept me from feeling my pain. So what I had to do was to increase my capacity to feel and understand pain in general. That's easy. There's always a reservoir of that. If we just turn off everything and sit with ourselves, by ourselves, without doing anything or distracting anything, that's what the whole point of meditation is. The whole point of meditation is to actually start feeling the geography of pain and not to get triggered by it, and to be able to sit with it and love on it and see that at the end of the day, anytime there's pain, there's an opportunity for love. And anytime there's an opportunity for love, there's an opportunity for polarity. There's an opportunity for sexuality. So the pain then becomes not something to be avoided, but something to be embraced as an opportunity, as a gateway towards love, towards polarity, towards a life that actually is a rich life. And so we can sit with this pain from a much more accepting place, a place that embraces it, that loves the shadowy, the dark, and isn't trying to change it, but can just sit with what is and can sit with it from a place of curiosity. And then from that place of curiosity and from that place of love, you can then make decisions. And you can lead your woman out of that by sifting and sorting and by assessing and by using skills that are much more akin to what a sea captain would do, or leadership skills, organizational skills. Her pain is not a judgment of you. She's constantly in pain. There's always times she will be in pain. But to be feminine is also to be in the most ecstatic pleasure that you could ever imagine. It's both. And you want both. You want all of it. But she doesn't need to suffer, and you don't need to suffer. And so the way to not suffer is to not resist it. And so every time that you're trying to immediately fix it or you're immediately fleeing, you're resisting it. You're not sitting with it. You're not in it. You're not being with it. That's what presence is. Just like courage means you're afraid and you still act, presence means there's pain and you're still there. She's in pain and you're still sitting there. She's in pain and your attention hasn't wavered. You're not fleeing. You're not fixing. You're not fighting. You're not defending. You're not explaining. You're just there with it. And then you get curious. And you're not annoying. And you're not trying to be curious to get out of it and be quick. You just feel it. And maybe you don't do anything about it in that moment. And you let it percolate. You sit, think. And if it's anything worth solving, it's worth taking a moment to think about and reflect and honor and come up with the best solution. That adage, slow is smooth, smooth is fast. We're sleeping on it. It's especially important with our women. Don't be so reactive. Don't come in high charge, inflamed, triggered, all this nonsense. What's she going to do? She's going to keep her pain away from you. The phrase that I want to leave you with is, I'm here. I'm here. That's my phrase. And just say it to yourself, I'm here. I'm here. Yeah, what's up? I'm here. I'm here. Let her be in her storm. You're able to hold her in her storm, and you are able to be the ground and be solid and be in that space of stillness. When she's in that, her pleasure becomes a part of your life, and she's not suffering as much anymore. That pain is not a place of suffering. Pain is a guide. It's a teacher. It's a reminder. It's an opportunity for us to be in our pleasure. Pain is also something that we can kinkify, that we can be aroused by and turn around and play with, and to be the sensory feeling. This is what submissives do. And as a dominant, we can learn from that and understand that and play with it and navigate it and hold it. And so just like you would play with pain when you are a dom and a scene, and you're moving that pain up and down. Can we do the same thing with psychic pain, with societal pain, with physical pain, in all aspects of our life? Can we be there holding that pain? Can we be there holding that? Our capacity to choose how we want to respond to it allows us to be consciously dominant at all times. And the pain is just a guide that we need to be acutely aware of and be experts at navigating. Where's this pain? Befriend pain and befriend her pain and befriend it as a tool that we can utilize and decide, hey, we're not going to do this thing now because that's not the right time of the month to do that. Or there's this situation happening in her life. It's not the time to do some extreme sexual thing. Or maybe that's exactly what she needs at this time because you've read the room. You have situational awareness. This is what it is to lead your woman, is to be aware of the complexities of her pain and to not trivialize it and to honor it. But at the same time, you're not a victim of it and you're not there to hurry up and get out of or to alleviate. And there are some times where she just needs to be in it and you just have to be okay with her being in her pain. That's just what it is, and you manage it. But you can always choose how you want to respond. You can always choose to find stillness in that, in the midst of all of that. And that's really what it comes down to being consciously dominant. It's our capacity to navigate pain, and especially her pain, and that she feels safe to bring her pain to you, and that it does not throw you off, and you can be there holding it. So thank you for listening today to Conscious Dominance. This is a short episode, really important from the masculine. This is really at the core of everything we do here at DSRX Studio, is to reframe dominance and submission, reframe masculine and feminine, to be in harmony, to be in service of each other in a way that still includes so much of what's juicy and yummy about DS and about extreme polarity, but also to be inclusive of the pain that we're all going through, and that a relationship can be a very healing place. Because at the end of the day, it's a healing place for both of us. And our capacity to navigate pain is at the heart of that. And so I just want to thank you all for listening. Thank you for being a part of this community. And please reach out directly to me. Go to @DSRX_studio on Instagram. I do coaching. Rachel does coaching. We do coaching together. We're there to support you in this journey. Please sit with it, be with it, and remember, I'm here. Thank you.